Good evening, friends. Today, we're going to speak about the controversies and objections about the movie Gunjan Saxena. Gunjan Saxena, the movie by Dharma Productions, was embroiled in controversies within a few days of its digital release. Armed Forces veterans raised objections over the negative portrayal of the Indian Air Force in the film. They shot off a letter to Dharma Productions, which is owned by Karan Johar, Netflix, and Central Board of Film Certification, which is CBFC, protesting against the inaccurate representation of gender discrimination in the air forces, as portrayed in this film. The Air Force said that certain scenes and dialogues in the movie portray it in a negative light. In fact, the Indian Air Force had requested Dharma Productions to modify or delete the objectionable scenes. However, the Karan Johar-owned production house took no such action. It is also important to note that the letter by the IAF was written after the Defense Ministry's letter to the CBFC last month, raising objections to the depiction of armed personnel in some web series. You would recall I mentioned that an FIR was lodged against Ekta Kapoor for showing the armed forces in a vulgar light in her series XXX, which is an erotic comedy drama directed by Ken Ghosh. Her response was to only delete the scene, nothing more. This movie is directed by Sharan Sharma and is inspired by the real life of Gunjan Saxena, a celebrated former IAF officer who received the Shaurya Chakra. The script of this biopic is a very simple one and resembles Dangal in many ways. It shows the struggles of a young girl to follow her dreams and become a pilot. And why this resemblance was something I was just wondering. And then I realized that the script writers are the same, Nikhil Malhotra and Sharan Kumar. They also wrote the script for Dangal. Janvi, the daughter of late Sri Devi, plays the lead role of Gunjan Saxena. As a child, Gunjan shows her fascination for planes and flying. And her brother Anshuman, played by Angad Bedi, reminds her of her rightful place as a girl, that she can aspire to be an air hostess, but not a pilot. Her mother also believes in the same lines and believes that a woman should remain in the kitchen and do nothing more than that. It is then up to her father, Anup Saxena, played by Pankaj Tripathi, a retired army officer, to encourage her and make her realize her dream. So backed by his support and her own determination, Gunjan passes the crucial tests and lands at Udhampur Air Base. The scenes where she's woken up to early by her father to run and lose weight are all very resemble all those scenes that you find in Dangal and some other movies as well. At the Air Force camp, she has an entire establishment to fight. All men here are shown as male chauvinists who will just not tolerate her presence here. There is not one man on her side, which I thought was unbelievable. As the first woman officer, she is seen as a misfit, running around looking for changing rooms and bathrooms, while all the men in the camp are either partying or singing songs or snubbing her. In fact, some of the dialogues like "Ye jagah ladkis ke liye hai hi nahi" are really in bad taste. In the scenes where she cries and laughs and relaxes with her family, Gunjan looks the same. And when she faces a crisis, when she's in the helicopter with one of her senior officers, she looks the same. Her immediate senior is seen constantly discouraging her, mocking her, and finally being saved by her when he's shot by Pakistanis during the Kargil War. It's a very melodramatic scene, and one would expect something more from the heroine. But again, Gunjan wears the same expression, even when she walks out to the applause of her colleagues. It looks like the director has used kid gloves to handle Janvi. Instead of making her get into the skin of the character, reminds me of her first movie, Dhadak, where she plays where she says this famous dialogue, "Papi, matlab kutte ka chota bacha." She could not act then, nor can she now. I don't know if it's a fault of the director or the actress. Anyway, neither have tried hard enough. The only one who impresses you in this movie is Pankaj Tripathi, who plays the father. He's effortless and a delight to watch. But then I've seen that this actor in most of the movies is very natural in his action. The movie also looks like it has been hurriedly put together to join the rush of patriotic movies being made by Akshay Kumar and others, thinking that they will become instant hits during this period. The movie, which was planned to be released theatrically, was eventually given a digital premiere thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. Since the movie has caused so much uproar in the Indian Air Force circles, the actual Gunjan was quick to tweet and talk about what really happened. She said that it was the training and the strong ethos of the Indian Air Force that which provided her with the courage to do all these feats. She also added that it was not just her. All the women officers from all the branches of Indian Air Force who had served or are still serving in the organization are driven by strong values and rich cultural ethos of the Air Force, which clearly points out that the movie has many glaring mistakes. She goes on to say that there was no impartiality observed at the Indian Air Force and equal opportunities were granted to her and the other officers. She added that the rising rate of number of women officers in the Indian Air Force is a testament to the equal policies of the organization. This shows that the Indian Air Force, which is a deeply respected institution in the country, has been so progressive and positive about bringing change in itself. So that's how I would like to address this issue, is how Saxena responded to it. She also said, she tweeted, in fact, I had the support of fellow officers, supervisors, of IAF, whereas the entire movie showed IAF in a bad light and blamed them for the imaginary gender discrimination by officers. As a reviewer, I too felt that not even 10 minutes were given to the actual war sequence. This is how Bollywood twists stories against India. Karan Johar, the vulgar jokes, the insipid script, and the direction are all of a reflection of how much thought is put into this serious topic. Remember, Gunjan Saxena created history when she and Flight Lieutenant Sri Vidya Rajan became the first ever Indian women in combat. These two pilots flew Cheetah helicopters for casualty evacuation and inspection during the 1999 Kargil War fought between Pakistan and India. This film does not inspire the next generation of IAF officers because the heroine looks as though she's sleepwalking through the whole procedure, riding only on one thing, and that is being the daughter of a great actress like Sridevi. So even if you give this movie a miss, you won't miss anything. Thank you.